All right, so the first thing we need to do for this fun little piggy in the barrel in his apple orchard is we need to draw the barrel and the piggy. So if you look, about half of my paper is the barrel, and then I started the piggy's head halfway up. We want to make sure we draw big so that he really shows up on our art. I'm starting with Sharpie. You're gonna draw with pencil and then trace with Sharpie. All right, so I am going to draw, let's see, about halfway. Here is the halfway mark. I'm gonna draw the head of my piggy, and I want you to make it bigger than your hand. So see how he's bigger than my hand? Your hands are smaller than mine. You want him to stand out, but not too big that you don't have room for your hat. So I'm gonna draw a big U shape. Your piggy head might be skinnier and taller. It might be wide like mine. It doesn't have to look exactly like mine. So there's a big U shape. And then the nose, I have some other drawings here I was working with. It can just be an oval shape. If you want to try to do this jelly bean shape, you can. Sketch light till you get it right. So I'm going to draw a big kind of curved line here. And then if you want to make it the jelly bean shape, just carefully kind of make it go in the middle. If that doesn't work out for you, the oval looks just as cute. And then we're going to add the nostrils, 2 little ovals here, lots of round shapes. And then the mouth, your mouth might look a little bit different than mine. So you can see this one's very simple. It's just a curved line. And then I put like a little cheeky mark there. So this one looks a little bit different too. All right, this one I put a tongue in it with its little bottom lip. So you can just do however your little heart's content. Now, when you practice, you can play around with this. So we like to practice first. So I'm gonna do the tongue, and then I might do the little bottom lip. So I thought I'd show you how to do that, or you could just do this curved line. Totally up to you. And the eyes can be open or they can be closed. So I have these 2 here. There's some circles with the eyelashes and the little white marks shining there, or here's the really simple little closed eyes. You decide how you want to do yours. I'm gonna do these open. So I'm gonna do a circle or an oval, just make sure they're about the same. And then I'm gonna put my little dots here for the shine. And then when you get your Sharpie, you can color it in. If you're working with pencil right now, I wouldn't even bother coloring them in yet. That's just me. So I'm gonna color these in with my Sharpie. And then you can add eyelashes if you want. You don't have to. I love my little pretty eyelashes. There we go. And then if you want some cute little cheekies, I'm gonna add some cute little cheeks to make them a brighter pink or a darker pink. All right, now here's the tricky part. We're gonna do the hat. You might like a little small little farmer's hat there, or a big cowboy hat. That is up to you. So I am going to show you how to do the cowboy hat here. So I am going to draw the ears first and then connect the hat on top of it. So I want to make my ears kind of off to the side. So I'm gonna draw, you can either draw like a little wavy ears. If this is hard for you guys, practice on your practice paper. If this is hard, just do triangles. Just do 2 triangles. All right, so we are always gonna practice first. And then here's just a curved line like that. So this might be a trickier ear to do. If it is, you can do, look how simple this one is. Just a triangle. Look how easy that is. So there's so many different ways you can create this. It does not have to look exactly like mine. And then on the inside, we have our little triangle shape. Now I'm gonna add the hat. So I'm gonna take my ears here and I'm gonna connect them with a curved line. Woo, you can already start seeing it. Look at that little cowgirl, so cute. And then I'm going to add the rim of the hat. So just another curved line on top. And we're gonna go around the ears and connect it to the cheek. Oh, so cute, it's coming together. Around the ears and connect it to the cheek. Now we're gonna do the top of the hat. And it's like a big lazy M. It can be a big lazy M. See how I did this? Big and weighty. or it can just be up and across. So practice, see what style you like the most. So I'm gonna do my 2 curved lines here. You could just make it round at the top, or you can dip it down like so. And you can leave it like that. You could add a flower, like a little sunflower up here. You could add a little buckle if you want. I'm gonna add these little lines here to make it look like that skinny part that dips in on the cowboy hats. I think because I have a little belt buckle on my picture here, I think I'm gonna add a little flower. She's a little cowgirl that really likes flowers. So I'm gonna add a flower to this one. Okay, so, and then maybe like a little strap here. So we have our belt buckle, we have a little flower. Get creative however you want to do it. All right, now we are going to draw the arms. So I'm gonna draw 2 curved lines coming in here and coming in there. And then I'm gonna draw the arms here. So we got our arms, and then we wanna do our hooves. It's like a W. So a little W here, and then a line across here. There we go. So we have our piggy. Now we are ready for our barrel. And I just noticed something, guys. So I'm drawing with Sharpie, I can't erase. My piggy is really big on my paper, which looks amazing, but it leaves a little less room for my apple tree to be painted. That's okay, it's still gonna look amazing. So if yours is big like this one, or a little bit smaller like this one, it's okay. We're gonna end up filling the space and it's gonna be beautiful. Everybody's is gonna be unique. So I'm gonna draw a line across. We're drawing the barrel now. And then we're gonna curve up a little bit here. And then I'm gonna draw 2 lines coming down. 1, 2, and a curved line at the bottom. And then I'm gonna draw my little straps across here. So it's like 2 stripes. And then the panels of wood coming down. There's some lines coming down. So this is the little wood strips that make up your barrel. All right, I'm not gonna draw this line back here because I'm gonna add apples. All right, so we have a barrel and we have a piggy with a hat, and it's super happy. And if you want your piggy to be eating an apple, you can draw an apple in its hand. So I'm gonna draw an apple in my piggy's hand. I wanna draw big because I'm going to paint all of these. Draw some big apples so that it's easy for you to paint. She took a bite out of hers. All right, there's our leaves on our little apples, our fresh picked apples. And I'm gonna draw a few apples inside the barrel. So there's a bunch of apples in here. There's a big apple here. And then maybe there's some apples behind her. Maybe that'll be an apple. And then on the bottom, maybe you wanna draw some apples on the bottom of your some apples that fell here. And you can just add as many little apples as you want. Maybe there's some hiding out behind this barrel over here. So you notice how my apples got a little bit smaller the higher up they go because they're farther back, so they're gonna look smaller. That's called perspective. All right, and then I'm gonna have a tree back here. You probably have a little bit more room than I do for your tree. I'm gonna draw the trunk of the edge of my tree here and some branches coming out. We're gonna be painting a lot over this, so it's really not that much to draw over here. And then horizon line, you need to show where you have blank paper. Where does the ground meet the sky? And that is the only spot I have to draw for the horizon line. Here you could see I needed to draw it on both sides. And that is it. You are done with the drawing step of this project. You're gonna outline with Sharpie and erase all your extra pencil lines. So now we are ready to add some color. So we are going to use crayons and we're going to use 2 different types of paint for this project. So we need to start with the crayon step. We are going to get a brown crayon and we're gonna get this really cool texture plate here. And you see it looks like the wood grain. So we are going to make a wood grain on our tree trunk and on our barrel here. So I'm going to stick the texture plate under, and you wanna make sure you're only using the wood grain side, not the brick side. I'm gonna put it under my paper, and I'm gonna take my crayon and I'm going to color in nice and slowly and carefully, so that it's only on the part that should be the brown color, the wood part. I'm going to color in the wood planks of my barrel. Try really hard to stay in the line, so I'm gonna outline the edges and just color it in. And I'm pressing kind of hard so I can get that effect. So my barrel is colored. Look how cool that looks. You can see the wood grain texture on my wood panels. Now I'm going to color my tree trunk the same way, but I am going to choose a different shade of brown just so that it stands out, so that it looks a little bit different. So I'm gonna color my tree. I'm done with the texture plate. I need to color this little strap in here, these little straps. I'm gonna color mine gray. You might choose another color. I would not color it green because we're gonna have a lot of green on our paper with the grass. So I'm gonna color mine in, and I'm coloring very nice and solid. I want it to look finished. This is not finished. There's lots of white left, right? So take your time, stay in the lines, color one section, one direction to make it look nice and pretty. Okay, and now we are just gonna add some grass to our ground, just some little lines so that we have some texture. We are not coloring in the ground. We are adding lines like this. Lots and lots of little lines for our little grass texture. We will paint over this with our watercolors and to fill in the white spaces. So don't color it in. You can use 2 or 3 different shades of green to really make it look nice. So I have like little bitty ones all over my paper going in one direction. All right, do not do this. Let me flip it over and show you some knots to do. Don't do this really fast all over your paper, or really light like this. It's not gonna show up when we paint. Don't do this. Crisscross applesauce. We're not doing that on our paper, okay? Just little nice lines, nice and neatly, one direction, and don't color it in. So my grass lines are all done, my texture and my grass. Now I'm gonna look and see, is there any little things that would be better to be easier to color than paint? Don't color your apples red, we're gonna paint those, but go ahead and color your leaves and your stems. If you have leaves and stems on your apples, I would color those in. I would color in the decoration on the hat as well. So on here, I colored in my leaves and my stems. I colored in my little strip across my hat with the little buckle here. You can even color in your tongue, especially if it's super tiny. That's gonna be hard to paint for you. Go ahead and color little bitty details, leaves and stems, and the decoration on the hat and the tongue. Okay, so now we have all the parts that we need colored with our crayons, and we get to start painting now. So we're gonna start with a watercolor paint. We're gonna do a wash over some of the areas that we painted. So I'm gonna start with the brown, and I'm gonna paint over the wood thing. So I'm gonna paint over the tree, I'm gonna paint over the barrel just to fill in some of the white spots that you may have. So I have brown watercolor paint. You just want a little bit on your brush, carefully staying in the lines, paint nice and slow, and just go right over that texture that you colored on your tree and your wood panels on your barrel. So when I'm painting with my paintbrush, I want to hold it like a pencil, and I'm not pressing really hard. And when I dip it in the watercolor paint, it will get drippy. So you want to let it drip a couple of times, or just touch the bristles to the edge to let it drip back in here. So that way you don't drip it all over your picture or your friend's picture or the table. Just a little bit on your brush goes a long way. Now that I'm done with my brown, I need to rinse my brush off. So get it nice and clean. And then I'm going to paint my grass with my green watercolor paint. So same thing, try not to drip it all over your paper. Let it drip back into the paint cup a little bit, and then do a nice little watercolor wash everywhere you would have grass. My grass is painted. Make sure you look at really close and get all those little small areas you may have missed. Rinse your brush off. Now we get to paint our sky blue. I am going to go ahead and paint my hat. I chose kind of like a golden tannish color for my hat on this little guy. I'm gonna do like a cream off-white color for her. So you get to choose your color, but do not choose green or blue. So it needs to be a neutral or a warm color. I'm not choosing a warm color because my decoration on my hat is warm and I want it to stand out. So our background is full of cool colors. You want to choose a color that's not going to be camouflage or blend in. So when I paint with the tempera paints, I just dip it a little bit. I'm not scooping it out. You don't want a big glob. And you're going to very slowly and gently, carefully glide your paintbrush along the edges, like so. So my hat is painted. I tried my best to go slow and stay in the lines. So remember, just a little bit of paint at a time. Clean your brush off. Try to get some of that water off there. We don't want a lot of water on our brush. And now I'm not gonna paint my piggy yet. I want my hat to dry before a little bit before I paint my piggy. So I'm gonna go down to my apples, and I'm gonna actually use a smaller brush for my apples because my apples are smaller. So just a little bit of paint at a time. You can always add more, but it's really hard to take it away. So I'm going in very, very, very carefully with my tiny little brush, paint in my little bright red apples. I have my apples all painted, and I just realized I forgot to color my little hooves with my crayons for my piggy. So whenever you get a chance, you can color those in also. Hopefully I remember to tell my class to do that before we start painting. So now I'm gonna go ahead and paint my piggy. My apples are still a little wet, so you need to be very careful if you have any wet paint, not to stick your hand in it while you're painting. So I will probably give my classes a couple of options of pink. So you can see I have my piggy is this color pink, this shade of pink, and then I chose a different shade for the nose and for the inside of the ears and for the cheeks. So whatever color you use on the head and the body, use a different shade on the nose and the inside of the ears. And then if you have cheeks, you can paint those a different color pink, or you can color them in with crayon too if your cheeks are too tiny. I'm going to paint my little piggy this pink here, make it a little bit different than my other one. Just a little bit of pink paint on your paintbrush goes a long way. Okay, so So we have almost everything painted. Now we get to do a really fun step here. We are going to paint the leaves of our tree with a koosh ball. So it's just one of those little rubber spiky balls. So you're gonna grab one side and you're gonna dip it into your green and yellow paint. Don't stir it up, we want the different shades. And try really hard not to get it on your piggy. And you're gonna go up and down, just like this. Over your tree branches, off to the side, tap, tap, tap. Try really hard to resist dragging it. We're not gonna paint lines with it. You're gonna dip it in the paint and tap, 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 tap. Tap, tap, tap. And maybe even the tree branches, maybe the leaves are stretching out way out here. Some of you may have more space to paint than others. Remember, I made my piggy so big and it's so adorable, but I have a little less tree to paint, so this won't take me as long as some others. So if you look on this one, I had a little bit more tree to paint. So I went kind of almost all the way to the edge, but not quite. And I want it to look like it's behind the piggy. So try really, really hard not to get paint on your hat or your piggy, but if you accidentally do, don't panic. Just let it dry and we will fix it later. Now that my leaves are done on my tree, I want to really make sure that that is really dry before I add my apples to my tree. So we're gonna leave that alone for the day and come back to that. I am gonna come down to my big apples that I've already painted, and I am just going to paint a tiny little white shine mark on each apple. So try to get a teeny tiny amount of white on the tip of a really small paintbrush. And you're just gonna go to a top corner of an apple and go swoop, add that little pretty shine mark to your apples. So now all of our paint is dry right now. We are gonna add some apples to our tree, and we're gonna add a little bit more grass with some cardboard. So this is printmaking. We get to print with some cardboard. So if you want shorter grass, use the shorter end. If you want longer grass, use the longer side. So I'm gonna use my shorter end, dip it in my green and yellow paint. I'm just gonna add a little bit around my barrel, like the grass is, growing tall. And I'm gonna add just a little bit over here around the bottom of my barrel. And your grass can be leaning diagonal a little bit, but it's not laying down. So straight up and down or diagonal. So I'm just adding a little bit to my picture. So we have texture with the crayon, and we have more texture with the paint lines that we're pressing in. And this is gonna give it more depth. Look how beautiful our grass is turning out. I just felt like it needed a little bit something more to make it pop. More color. Do not get it on your piggy, please. I'll just add a little bit. Dip, 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 dip. Okay, so my grass is done, and we are going to paint our apples with our little finger. So you have one finger to paint with, not all 5 or all 10. So I want you to find your painting finger. Painting finger, where are you? Here I am. And I'm only gonna stick the tip of my painting finger into my paint. I am not scooping my paint. I am not rolling my finger in the paint, just a little tippy tip, so I can make little cute apples in my tree. I'm spreading them out. I'm not repainting the tree red. I just want some like little polka dots, super simple. I'm not swirling my finger in a big circle, just a fingerprint. Here we go. I'm all done with the paint. Once this dries, we are going to re-outline everything. And now we just have one more little step to add to our picture and we will be done. So I have a white and a black Prismacolors. We're going to very carefully trace back over all of our Sharpie lines that got covered up here to make them nice and pretty again. And I'm pressing kind of hard, not so hard that you break your pencil. I'm gonna do nice smooth lines and go over them a couple of times to make sure that they're nice and bold. Like so. If you go really softly, you can barely see the lines. Not even worth doing it. So I'm pressing hard. I want to make sure that these look like nice thick lines, just like our Sharpies did before we painted. So just keep outlining everything on your Piggie to make it nice and pretty again. This may take a little time so that you make it look nice and pretty. If you go really fast, it's gonna get sloppy looking, and we don't want that because we worked really hard on this cute little cowboy or cowgirl Piggie. And last little step, we're gonna do a final little detail just for those extra little touches. We're gonna add little highlights inside of our apples and our apple trees with the white Prismacolor. We're just gonna do a little curved line on our apples. And then we are all done with our beautiful artwork. Good job, everybody.
If you like this video, like and subscribe.